This is Gloria Coppola from Massage Pro CE, and today I have a special guest, Kumu Karen Le Aloha Carol from the island of Oahu. Kumu Karen was my special guest at a recent lomilomi training on the island of Kauai. Join her as she speaks about Hawaiian values in a typical talk story format. Kumu Karen is delightful, full of knowledge and wisdom, and I hope that you enjoy her special presentation on Hawaiian values. Mahalo nui loa for joining us today.
We have Hawaiian values, and what they are universal core values. These are things your parents taught you, your grandparents taught you, and when you have crisis in your life, what do you fall back on? Your values, what you learned when you were young. And so these are the things that will keep you strong, always. I'd like to read to you one of the many wise sayings from that sage, Dear Abby. And this is called The Paradox of Our Times. The paradox of our times is that we have taller buildings, but shorter tempers, wider freeways, but narrower viewpoints. We buy more, but enjoy it less, have bigger houses and smaller families, more conveniences, but less time. We have more advanced degrees, but less common sense, more knowledge, but less good judgment. We have more medicine, but less wellness. We have multiplied our possessions, but reduced our values. We have higher incomes, but lower morals. We have been all the way to the moon and back, but have trouble crossing the street to meet a new neighbor. We've conquered outer space, but our inner space is still a mystery to many of us. We've cleaned up the air, but polluted the soul, split the atom, but not our prejudices. We talk too much, love too seldom, and hate too often. These are times of steep profits and shallow relationships. More leisure, but less fun. 2 incomes and more divorce. It is a time when there is much in the show window and nothing in the stockroom. A time when technology can bring a letter to you in seconds, and you can choose either to make a difference or just hit delete. This is why values are important. The Hawaiian values is what connects all of us. Connects La'au Lapa'au, Lua, the healing arts, Hula, and lomilomi. During the time when we were not allowed to practice our culture, the people of Hawaii and the elders wanted to teach things to their young ohana, but they couldn't say it out loud because they would be punished. So how these were taught, this knowledge, was through stories, through Hawaiian values. And if a story was told, then the child or the person would say, oh, okay, now I understand what this has to do with me. And this is how the values were learned. I would like to share some of these values with you. The first Hawaiian value is the word aloha. Can you say that? Aloha. Aloha. Aloha means unconditional love. It means I stand in the presence of the Creator. I acknowledge the spark of the divine within me, and I recognize it in others. I recognize that they're my ohana, my family. All that I see is love. The story of Aloha is a story about, I had a friend with a very broken down truck. And one day she was in the country, she was in Nanakuli when her truck broke down. And she could not get it started. She sat on the curb there with her truck, and she didn't know what to do. She didn't have any money. There was no one around that she could call to help her. And as she sat there, in came a brand new Cadillac with this elderly gentleman driving it. And he got out and he said, "Hey, Tita, so what's the matter? What happened?" And she said, "My truck is broken and I don't know how I'm going to take care of it." And he looked her in the eye and he told her something that no one had ever said to her before. He said, "I'll tow it with my car." And she said, "But you know what? You have a brand new car. This is a broken down truck we're talking about." And as he looked her in the eye, he said to her, "You are more important than my car." She said tears came to her eyes. And this man towed her car home for her. And in payment, he asked just for a hug. This is aloha. To put the welfare of someone else ahead of you. Aloha is not to be fooled by outward appearances, but to feel what comes from within the heart. You can see every person has a light that comes from within. Some lights are kind of tricky and you can't see them right away, but it's there. And every person has that light within them, and it's up to us to find it. This is aloha.